Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 5.15. Chapter is cost profit volume analysis, CVP, cost volume profit analysis. And we have already solved 14 questions, so there are several things which are already in your mind. Let's repeat some of those things quickly. As we have discussed, our total cost, it will always be having two major portions, fixed cost and variable cost. Then you have an idea how to calculate per unit cost. For that, there are two ways. What you will do, you will get the amount and will divide by units. You will get per unit cost. In the other way, if you want to calculate your per unit cost, you can take sales per unit and you can divide it by number of units sold. Then we have discussed our contribution margin. Contribution margin can be calculated by subtracting variable cost from the sales. So you can write sales and then subtract variable cost. Then you have calculated your contribution margin but per unit. Same formula which is written in previous line that could be used. You can see that we can write sale minus variable cost with an additional word of per unit. So per unit sales you will take and you will subtract again per unit variable cost. There are few facts which are also very important, and that is your margin of safety. Please keep it in mind, these are backbones of CVP analysis. As a manager, you must have these statements ever ready. You don't have to think, you don't have to research. If you want to take quick decisions, you must have these elements ever ready in your brain. Margin of safety, you will see how much actual sales are, and you will subtract your break even sales. Now here please understand, if answer of margin is plus, what you will is plus, what you will call it as satisfactory, means more positive answer, more satisfactory. So opposite to it, if answer of margin is negative, then it would be unfavorable or unsatisfactory. So this is the major tool. With just one line you will be able to check how much your business is safe and how much it is unsatisfactory or how much risk is present over there. And then you have seen your leverage and degree of operating leverage was understood. Degree of operating leverage was discussed, and it is actually the relationship between contribution margin and net margin. So what you will do, you will write contribution margin and then you will divide net margin. So here there are things which are still very important, and some of them has been written over here, and we have repeated the elements written on left side for so many times. So it must be in your mind, very fresh, very clear, and very open. We have some points as well to be discussed. Break even point, a point where your revenue is equal to cost, and then we have also discussed break even point in terms of units, where you will divide your fixed cost by per unit contribution margin, and you have break even point in terms of dollar, it may be called, in terms of amount it may be called. So you will divide your fixed cost by CM ratio, and CM ratio is basically, we haven't written over here, CM ratio is basically when you will divide your CM over sales, you will get your CM ratio in terms of time. Why I have written these statements? If you will see now your question, almost everything will be used again. Now let's see here, company's name, and the doors are sold for this. This is your per unit sale price. Variable cost 42 clearly mentioned. Fixed cost, company number of units sold. Prepare contribution margin, format income statement of the company at the present level of sales, and compute degree of operating leverage. So as you have seen, we have discussed these formulas and they will be used in this particular question. Very first thing is to make in contribution format income statement. First element is sales. Then you will subtract your variable cost. You will get contribution margin, and then you will again subtract your fixed cost. Answer would be net margin. So this short statement is actually income statement, contribution format income statement, and we are asked to calculate or make income statement according to elements given over here. Units, the very first thing to be mentioned over here, 30,000 units are being made. So we should mention units first. 30,000 units are sold here per unit, and then we will calculate the total amount. And we have discussed how to calculate total amount. We have discussed how to calculate per unit, and right now we are given per unit sale price is mentioned over here is 60. So you can write your per unit 60 over here. Now please make your mind how to calculate the amount of sales. Whenever you do need to calculate amount, you have two elements, and one is per unit cost, other is unit. So if you will multiply your units with per unit cost, you will get the amount. Here number of units were 30,000, and you need to multiply it with per unit, which is 60. So you have got your answer. Again, for variable cost, number of unit would be same, and per unit variable cost is mentioned over here. You can see variable cost 42. So you can put 42 over here, and again you will apply the same formula, units multiplied by per unit. So we have units and it would be multiplied by per unit. So you have got your answer, variable cost, and we can calculate our contribution margin by subtracting variable cost from the sales. Our sales here 18 lakh, and you need to subtract variable cost, which is 12 lakh 60,000. So we have got contribution margin. Then we need to see how much is fixed cost, and you can see fixed cost is 4,50,000. All right, so put 4,50,000 in front of fixed cost. Now it's time to calculate our net margin, and please make your mind how to calculate net margin by subtracting fixed cost from the contribution margin. So we have contribution margin 5,40,000, subtract fixed cost, which is 4,50,000. So we have got our contribution margin. and net margin. This is our contribution margin 5,40,000 and net margin 90,000. Completed income statement, contribution format, and next thing which is required is to compute degree of operating leverage. We have just discussed this for this element, degree of operating leverage, and we have discussed how to calculate degree of operating leverage. Simple, two elements are involved. You will take contribution margin and then you will divide your net margin. If you don't want to calculate in terms of percentage, you don't need to multiply it with 100. You can write this answer in terms of times. You may calculate it by in terms of percentage. Only in that case you will multiply it with 100. Come over here. Now see how much is your contribution margin. You calculated over here. Contribution margin was 5,40,000. So you are open to put 5,40,000 over here. It's time to divide by net margin. So your net margin is over here 90,000. So put 90,000 over here. Now 5,40,000 divided by 90,000. So it's 6. Degree of operating leverage we have calculated. Answer is over here. So you may wonder, answer of contribution and net margin is not written over here. So you can easily understand if contribution margin and net margin is used to calculate operating leverage and answer is matched. So indirectly we can understood that 540,000 and 90,000 are correct. First thing, and you can use these answers as a reference. You can put these answers on your book for the reference as well. So first requirement has been completed. We were asked to create a contribution margin income statement. We have calculated contribution and net margin, and then we were asked to calculate degree of operating leverage. Here we have calculated degree of operating leverage as well. So we are now going to proceed next. Management is confident that company can sell 37,500 doors next year, an increase of 7,500 doors or 25% over sales. Now please understand that company is increasing its sale. Obviously in both cases your contribution margin can be increased and your net margin can be increased as you are increasing your number of units to be sold out. That's not necessary that by increasing number of units to be sold out, your margin would definitely be increased. So it's not necessary. Sometimes it happens by increase in number of units sold, you might be facing loss. So it's not an important thing. Increase in sale is not important. Increase in contribution and net margin is important. Now what he wants us to calculate expected percentage increase in net operating income. There are two ways to calculate. We can make a new income statement as we were making new income statement or compatible income statement in previous questions, where we have created old income statement and beside this we have created new income statement. In previous question we have already done, but what he wants us, do not prepare income statement using, that means he doesn't want us to make the income statement. We will just use the degree of operating leverage to calculate his requirement. So he wants us to calculate expected percentage increase in net operating income and expected net operating income for the next year. Okay, now how would you calculate it? Increase in percentage. Right now we have increased 25%. We have increased 25% crunch sales. So what percentage of net in operating income would be? For that purpose we are not making income statement. We will be using this degree of operating leverage. Here we have completed our first requirement, and now we are going to complete our second requirement. It's very simple. If you want to calculate percentage of any element, Just use that percentage with degree of operating leverage. This is so useful element, uh, so so helpful element for you to calculate any missing figure. What he wants us to calculate, net operating income. Now we can have this percentage increase in net margin. How would we calculate percentage increase in sales, and you will multiply it with degree of operating leverage. So here is your formula, though it has a length, but it's simple formula. Don't worry about that. Percentage increase in sales. Okay, you can see that he is saying we are increasing 25%. Increase of 7,500 doors. So 25% is increase in current sales. We can put it percentage increase, that is 25%, and we have calculated our degree of operating leverage over here. And how much it is? That is 6. Now put it on your calculator. 25 multiplied by 6. So you have got your answer is 150, and since 25% was used, so this answer is in terms of percentage. 150% is your answer, and you can see 150% is written over here. So come back over here. Second A was sorted out. Over here you can write second A, and now we are going to see second B part. And what it is saying, expected net operating income. So again he is willing us not to make income statement. We will make compare, just to make the comparison of old and new statement, but here we will use simple formulas. We have discussed several times, as a business manager you don't have time to create lengthy income statements. You must have these sort of elements, these sort of formulas, these sort of helping or supporting statements, with which you do not need to calculate, you do not need to have clerical work. Instead of that, by taking consideration of these supporting statement, you can make your decision within short period of time. So it means you are again not making your income statement. You can predict your net margin. What he wants us, if you will increase number of units to be sold by 25%, how much your net income would be increased? Question is, if you will increase your level of production, how much your net income would be increased? You are not even making income statement. You are not practically taking risk. Just with a single statement, you can predict about your income, about your sales. We will use again this degree of operating leverage, and what we will be doing, our old net margin we will take, and we will add expected increase, with which what we will get, our new net margin. So can you imagine, you are not making income statement, with the help of just this very important tool. What I was willing to say, it's a tool for a business manager, with a single division and it's still very simple division. You will get a tool of operating leverage, and this tool will be used to predict your future income. So here we are going to calculate our future net margin. We have old net margin, which is 90,000, and expected increase we want to see. Now here old margin was 90,000, and you will add the increase. How? expected increase, you have calculated over here that next year there will be 150% increase in your margin. Okay, so you will use the same percentage over here. Old percentage was 90,000 and 150% would be increase. So you will multiply it with 150 and will divide with 100. This is 150% you are calculating. Now here I will stop my working and please understand what we are doing. New net margin is needed to be calculated. For that, what was old margin? And then you will see expected increase. We have used this tool. 150% was calculated with the help of this degree of operating leverage. 25% is increase in number of units sold. So question is, if you will increase 25% number of units sold, what will be the impact upon net margin? For that, what we have done, old margin is written over here. Expected increase is 150%. So we can now put it on our calculator. 90,000 would be written first and then you will add 150% of 90,000. So multiply it with 150 and divide it with 100, bracket close. So in this way, your expected increase in net margin would be 2,25,000. And let's see what is the answer. Here you can see 2,25,000 is your answer. Now here I am just asking you, requesting you to please focus here with just one line. What you have done, you have predicted your future. You have predicted the future of your business. So I'm repeating it, what is happening. You are willing to increase your number of units sold. How many number of units you have increased? In our question it has been mentioned you are increasing your sale by 7,500 doors and you want to know how much increase in your net income is. Even without making your income statement, you had predicted that your net income would be 2,25,000 if you have increased your sale from 30,000 to 37,500. Why I'm saying 37,500? Old doors were 30,000 and increase is 7,500. In this way, in future you will be selling 37,500 doors. Now here is the point, question is ended and you may conclude the question. But I am requesting you to understand the phenomena. For that we will prove it with making of this income statement. Again, this is old income statement and we are going to make our new income statement. And how would we do that? We are going to prove by increasing number of units. Here we can remove it. Okay, so please understand, old income statement is showing you were selling 30,000 units. Now there is an increase of 7,500 units. So instead of 30,000, you are now selling 37,500. How it came? 30,000 was old number of units and you have increased 7,500 number of units, which is seen from the question. 30,000 old, 7,500 new. So total sale is now it must be 7,500 units were present. Okay, now let's confirm. Yes, 7,500. So make your mind, when you were selling 30,000 unit, your net margin was 90,000. Now you are selling 37,500 unit, your net margin must be 2,25,000. And what we are going to do, we are proving it. Number of units sold has been mentioned. Your sale price is already over there 60. Your variable cost is also present 42. Number of units would be same 37,500. Okay. Now we are going to calculate our total sales. These are units and next is per unit. And as you know what we do, we multiply unit with per unit to calculate our amount. Here number of unit was 37 5000. You need to multiply it with per unit 60. You have got your amount of sales 22 lakh 50,000. And now calculate variable cost. Okay, variable cost can be calculated by multiplying 37,500 units, and you need to multiply it with 42 variable cost. There is another way I want to remind you that if you want to calculate new variable cost, we have a desi formula. You will take old variable cost, will divide by old sales, and then you will multiply it with new sales. This way you can calculate your new variable cost. Okay, old variable cost was how much? It was 12 lakh 60,000. You will divide it with 18 lakh and then you can multiply it with 2 lakh 25,000. In this second way, you can also calculate your variable cost. Since per unit was available, so you have directly calculated. Keep it in mind, both options are available for you to calculate new variable cost. Next step is to calculate contribution margin by subtracting variable cost from sale. Amount of sale is 2 lakh 25,000 and your variable cost is 15 lakh 75,000. Net margin has been calculated. Fixed cost would remain same no matter if you are selling 37,500 unit or 30,000. Fixed cost will be as usual. This fixed cost was mentioned over here 4 lakh 50,000. Same will be used over here. It's time to calculate your net margin by subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. Fixed cost was 6 lakh 75,000 and subtract fixed cost 4 lakh 50,000. So you have got your net margin 2 lakh 25,000, which is already been calculated 2 lakh 25,000. So this portion was optional. I was let you make a very strong understanding. What we have done, instead of making this clerical work, compare your studies when you were in when you were in the same semester before mid. We were making longer income statements. Clerical work was prominent over there. Here, even this is not the big deal of making income statement with just 4 lines available over. Even not 4 lines, just 3 lines you have used, and yeah, you have completed your income statement by sales, variable cost, and fixed cost. That's all. But as a manager, we can still avoid of making these short income statement as well by using single line formula which we have written over here, with which you can calculate your new net margin without giving time of making of income statements. So here was our question. We were required to calculate three major things: 1, 2A and 2B. Three answers were over here: 6, 150%, 225. Here was your first part. Answer is 6 and answer was 6. What we are going to do right now, we are actually reviewing. So it might be possible sometimes a smaller element can be missed. So it is suggested to you as well, when you will complete your question in exam paper, don't hand over your paper directly to your examiner. Please review your questions, review your answer instead of instantly providing your paper to examiner. Second answer was 150%, and you can see we have second A answer, and that is 150%. And then third answer 2 lakh 25,000, third answer 2B 2 lakh 25,000 we have calculated over here. I'm requesting you to please repeat this question for more than 2-3 times and make a stronger place in your mind. How? When you will continuously repeat, when you will continuously revise the statements, the formulas, and the application of solution, ultimately you will have a proper practice This practice will make you absolutely perfect in your subjects. 5.15 has been completed. Surely we will be meeting again for the solution of any other question. Up till then, I am asking your permission to let it end. We are we have completed 5.15. If you have any query, any question, or any problem regarding this exercise, you may ask directly, or you may text, message, or comment over here. For the solution of any other question, we will see you again. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.